What's going on, everybody? We are back. We got episode number 68 of the Club and Sub podcast. Big apology from my end for last week. Luke and C were ready to do the show. Unfortunately, I did not check my phone for about 5 hours and forgot to send Luke the login details. So, little blip, but we're back at it now. We won't have any more of those issues going forward. Anyway, so tonight you got me, John at MMA Fox, Luke at SWR_betting, and Legs at Danny_Legs. Is that new?
I know.
What the fuck is
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. So I switched it up a little bit. I think it switched it like 2 weeks ago. So I just wanted to.
Bro, you have to like send me a message when you're gonna do that. I just got thrown for a loop.
I know. Completely sorry about that, John.
I'm just kidding. And you know, as usual, our recurring guest C Hansen may show up or may not show up. We will see. I'm just messing with him. Anyway, this week we got UFC 268. We got Vettori versus Costa. I'm pretty excited.
UFC Vegas 41.
Is it? Yeah, UFC Vegas 41. If you like the show, drop a like and subscribe, please. We'd really appreciate it. And yeah, you know, let's get into it, guys. First fight of the night, we got Jonathan Martinez taking on Zvea Lazashvili. And he's here. Look at that. Now he's gone. All right. Can't make this up. But anyway, I literally just taped this right before we came live here. And I'll be honest, like I'm seeing plus 175 or plus 170 Martinez out right now. Looks like only one book has it, but I got to be honest. I think that is completely fucking crazy. Lazashvili, you know, he's an okay fighter. He seems like he's got a decent top game. Grappling base, but his striking is basically non-existent, doesn't throw volume, very easy to hit. And in terms of his grappling, like I don't really like his regional footage is pretty rough. Granted, you know, I don't think he had a fight for 5 years between his last Russian fight and LFA, but that footage is rough. And even in the 2 fights in LFA, like I don't know, like I don't really think he's a great wrestler. Like I could be wrong because the data is somewhat limited, but you know, he got most of his takedowns off caught kicks. And I don't know. I don't see it. You know, Martinez is a reasonable get-up game. He's a good scrambler, or a decent scrambler at least, and he won't accept being on his back, which I think is really all you need because Lazashvili is not going to put hooks in here. If he gives up the back here, Lazashvili is going to probably just try to float on top. And so yeah, like I think I'd be surprised if Lazashvili was able to hold him down for 7-8 minutes in this fight. And if he can't do that, I think Martinez is going to tee off on him standing, to be completely honest. So I'm going to bet Martinez if I get a shot at this plus 170. I think this line's crazy. I think Martinez should probably be like 55-60% here. Yeah, Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't taped him back yet, but at least from what I recall in taping his LFA fights, he seems to be a pretty decent wrestler, grappler. But once again, take my opinion with a grain of salt, just because I haven't went back and looked at it. Kind of bummed, honestly. The original matchup fell out for Martinez against Phillips. I thought he was going to absolutely smoke Phillips. I laid the chalk on him there personally at like minus 300. But I guess maybe my opinion will change after tape. Blue belt against you know, perceivably a decent grappler. You know, maybe Lazashvili being a favorite makes sense, but he's also kind of a can crusher at the same time too. So we'll see, but maybe my opinion will change.
Lags, any thoughts from you here?
No, I've not gotten around to tape this. But again, if you're echoing, you know, plus 170 is a hell of a bet and he should be 55-60%, I'll definitely, you know, look into it myself.
See, any thoughts here?
No, I did not. I don't have any.
Okay, cool. So moving on, we got Lavinia Souza taking on Randa Marcos. Luke, what are your thoughts here?
Oh man, it's so tough. It's so tough with Marcos for me because I guess off the top, I do think Marcos is the side. I think she's 100% the side, but she could also look 100% not the side at the same time, just because she's done so much dumb shit over the years. I think the main credence to Souza in the matchup is that, you know, Souza will shoot and attempt takedowns. I think she's a black belt in Juju and Jiu-Jitsu. You know, she's shown competent submission grappling. We've seen Marco sub before, but the strength of competition between the two is crazy. And even in seeing in Souza in her last matchup, she looked like she was completely uninterested even in being there. She doesn't really do much on the feet. Like, she's landed some body kicks here and there, but I just think general activity of Randa Marcos should win her this fight. I think she actually can scramble, even if she is taken down. Souza will also even play from bottom in the time she has been taken down. Like, you go back and look at that Frodo fight for Souza, like, pretty disconcerting in my opinion. So do I want to back Marcos at this point? Not really, just because I've lost a decent chunk of change backing her. And to be candid, I kind of feel like at this point it's an irresponsible bet. Not shooting on John. I'm not shooting on John. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. For me, I don't want any part of it. But I think she's a side. I think she does have clear upside favor, but it's one of those fights where like Pick'em could be completely justified. Marcos being like minus 233 could be justified. Souza just potentially washing her on bottom. On top could be completely justified too. So we'll see. It's a pass for me, but best of luck, John. I love you. Praying for you. But I jumped off the Marcos bandwagon after the Dern fight.
Lags, what do you think?
So I'll say I was never on the Marcos bandwagon, nor have I ever made a bet on a Marcos fight. So yeah, I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really think that this is what I'm going to be stepping into, because kind of like Luke said, I think this is more so a 50-50 fight, and would shock me if either girl has significant favorite upside. It wouldn't. But like, I think Marcos is cleaner, crisper striker here. I think that there's a better chance that she's the minute winner in this fight if this goes 15. So I don't hate your bet on Randa at all.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I bet on Randa. As long as she doesn't really do something dumb, she should be fine. I think, like, I trust her enough to scramble back up in some scenarios. She's gonna win on the feet, and like Souza sucks. Honestly, there's a good chance like she just ends up on top, and Souza just accepts it. So like, she's happy to play guard. I don't know. I don't see why she's. I mean, I understand, but like, how big of a penalty are you giving someone for being, retarded? I don't know. Make it a
yeah, I'm with C. I mean, I bet Marcos against Dern. I was like, as long as Randa doesn't go into guard, she should be able to take care of business here. Dern falls down, immediately goes into guard. I bet her against Murata just because I was like, UFC debutante. I don't know how good her wrestling is. That wasn't great. And then I unloaded on her against Luana Pinheiro. And we all know how that ends. And so here we are again. Randa Marcos at a line that is wide. And it's just a decision of, do I want to go out 4 in a row as she gets cut from the UFC or not? And the answer is yes. I don't really understand how Vinicius is a favorite here, if I'm being completely honest. It's like we have gassy Brazilian who also might kind of be a quitter taking on F- fight IQ. And honestly, though, I just, unless Souza is going to go out there and utterly dominate her in the grappling, I don't see how Marcos doesn't win minutes here, and I don't think she's getting knocked out. Ribas didn't put her out. I really don't think Souza's putting her out here. Yeah, I guess, Souza could have grappling success. I just don't see her having enough of it to win, dominate her for 7, 8, 9 minutes on the mat there. And so if I don't see that, it's just kind of like, do I feel great about having money on Randa Marcos again? No, but like, just thinking about the fight dynamic, like, how is Marcos not a favorite? And so I have to put the money there. We'll see what happens. If she loses this fight, let's just hope she gets cut so I don't have to do this again. But, I'm going to ride her to the end. So that's where we are here at Club John. Moving on, we got Jeff Molina. He's taking on Daniel Lacerda. Lags, do you have any place here?
No, I don't have any place here. And this is an interesting fight too, because there's not a ton of footage on the Lacerda side, but from what you see, he's a potent finisher. He hasn't seen the third round in any of his fights. 11 wins, 10 of his 11 wins inside the first round. So like, to be honest with you, just looking at lines, like, I think the under 2.5 is still hanging to plus money, which is kind of an interesting angle. Just fading the whole fact that he hasn't even see if they're around in his entire career. Because, I think Molina's a decent striker, decent finisher in his own right. And again, just kind of fading the whole, where is his cardio really outside of the first 2 rounds here if he doesn't find a finish? Because, Molina's shown solid performances like in his last fight against Archie Lang. So yeah, I mean, minus 170 favorite on Molina seems about right. I don't mind the under 2.5 at plus money.
Yeah, I bet Molina at minus 170, and unfortunately, that line is coming in, which is kind of weird to me. I guess for me, it's just like Molina checks a lot of boxes for what I look for in a fighter, and like I don't think he's coming for the strap or anything like that, but he's got a good process. He's very, very high volume. He's got great cardio. He seems very, very durable, and he's very tough to hold down. He's got very good get-ups. And so, like, I trust Molina has a great style to win minutes, and I actually think he's a decent-sized hitter here. On the other side with Lacerda, he's a bit of an unknown, like you said, Lags, but he goes balls to the walls, like 0 to 100 pretty much right away. I think that makes his cardio somewhat questionable. I also just think his striking is remarkably sloppy. It seems like what he wants to be as a grappler, but he's been fighting bums, and so I don't really take his wrestling too seriously. And on top, he's just very loose. I don't really think his grappling is more than like a D plus C minus. Maybe I'll end up being wrong about that when he gets to the next level, and maybe it's just that he's fighting bad comp. But to how it looks to me, I don't think it's promising, to be honest. And yeah, I just expect Molina is the much more seasoned striker here. I don't think he's gonna be able to be held down by Lacerda, and so. Yeah, I just trust everything about Molina more than Lacerda here. I think he should be a decent sized fave. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, pass for me, just not enough footage on Lacerda. Obviously, kind of your prototypical kitchen sink Brazilian, let it fly on the feet type of dude.
Yeah.
I think probably the best way to play it is kind of actually what Lags touched on, is actually the under 2.5. That's the way I'd go about it. We do still have questions on Lacerda's gas tank. Molina more proven in extended fights, so I do actually think he is the side from a pick, but I guess I'd rather just check more boxes and take fight violence at plus money. I think that's the best play.
See, any thoughts here, Molina Lacerda?
Yeah, I think Molina's good. I don't hate Molina. Guy throws some volume, so going up against somebody who's predominantly first round, second round, quick, explosive kid, going up against somebody who's durable and has cardio. Probably not a good idea to just lay the money line on the Brazilian. Go with like KO or something. I think there was a crazy line on KO, but he's got snappy kicks, but can't really trust these guys with the cardio thing. Not worth it. And Molino's shown durability and output, so Molino's fine at the current line.
Yeah, fair. Moving on, we got Kama Worthy taking on Jay Herbert. I haven't bet it yet, but I do kind of like Worthy, if I'm being honest. Look, I was hoping we'd get maybe an under 2.5 minus 185, minus 170, but instead we got a 1.5, and it's just like, I'm not, at the end of the day, they may both be glass, and they are, but I'm not super confident in two 155ers like them, knocking each other out. I mean, I think it'll happen eventually, but not enough to play it under 7.5 minutes. But I just do think in terms of the fight, I'm not passionate about Worthy, but he's fought real competition at least. I mean, not to say Herbert hasn't, but the only 2 times Herbert's faced real competition, he's gotten dumpstered, right? And whereas Herbert's or Worthy's at least had competitive minutes with real fighters. I think his output's a bit more reliable. He throws a lot of calf kicks, which is a plus, and I don't think Herbert really checks kicks. And then, just breaking it down one step further, look, Worthy, I don't think anybody would call him a wrestler, but, he's grappled a bit in fights in the past, and not that I expect him to do this, but I honestly think if Worthy just decided, I don't want to get KO'd anymore, I'm going to come out here and wrestle, he could probably land takedowns at will. Herbert's one of the worst defensive grapplers I've ever seen. And so I just think Worthy could honestly take him down at will. And Steven on the feet, I think Herbert's the bigger hitter, but you have 2 guys who can't take punches that are going to be throwing high volume. I don't think Herbert's chances to KO him are markedly higher than Worthy's chances to land a KO are. And so if I favor Worthy kind of on minutes, and I think he's the one with grappling upside, and I think they could both get knocked out, it's how the fuck is Jai Herbert minus 185? I don't know. Yeah, Magic said it. Marcos Worthy, guys. That's the parlay of the week. That's going to make you some money this week. Luke, what do you think here?
I don't know if that parlay will make you money, but it will definitely give you a brain aneurysm. No, I definitely hear your points though, John. Like, I do think Worthy is live. I mean, there's definite merit to him here. Am I trying to lay, this kind of price on Herbert? No. Do I think he's rightfully favored? Yes. I do think he has speed advantage. I think he has general activity advantages, but I think honestly, even at a chalky number, the fight doesn't go at minus like 230 is like
Well, that's not
incredibly
bad.
short in my opinion. I think that should be like minus 400. Even if you go back to like 2016 between both guys in 22 pro fights, none of their fights have hit the cards. Like I think Worthy has a 75% finish rate in W's. Herbert's got like a 90% finish rate in W's. Obviously, both guys have been finished in all of their pro losses. Based on how Herbert fights, he's going to go forward. He's going to get in the dude's face. We've seen Kama try to play kind of, that mid-range outside game at certain points, but the archetype of how Herbert fights just forces action, forces exchanges. Like you're forced to do shit when you fight the guy. And I think that could also leave him susceptible to your point. But I'm more so on the side that he knocks out Worthy. Nonetheless, I think minus 230 is kind of a dumb number. I think it's a great parlay piece. I think you can lay that straight. I don't trust either guy with my money. I think that's the side to just lay the chalk, to be honest.
I don't disagree. Lags, what do you think?
So, John, similar to you, I was like, all right, this line at an over 1.5. I don't really love landing over under 1.5. So I was like looking into more of just like the durability of Worthy, like when he's getting finished. And you look at it, 7 of his 8 losses are actually under that 1.5 mark, with the one missing only 13 seconds over. So then I was like, all right, like I'm really hoping, like you said, looking for an under 2.5. And the FanDuel released today, fight ends by KO minus 175. So I took that for a 1.5. So I think, again, that's a solid play as well. I think both of these guys, like you said, are glass cannons. Both of these guys have finishing potential on the feet. And, yeah, I really think one of these guys get KO'd at a high clip.
Yeah, I agree. See, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, whatever ends by knockout is, or I don't even.
175, yeah.
175, not bad. Yeah, it doesn't go to distance. I have no interest in the side. I guess, it's going to be one of those stupid things where maybe they just fucking magically have better chins and everyone gets burned. Seems to be happening.
Yeah,
but I haven't talked to Magic at all this week, but I will 100% guarantee you that Magic is playing Worthy by sub. Just know it. I'm waiting for it. He's gonna message me right after this and be like, dude, he subs this guy easy.
Anyway, moving on. See, I'll stay with you here. Luriano Staropoli, Jamie Pickett. Any thoughts?
I thought this was. No, I have none. Never mind. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this fight a couple weeks ago. I'll just keep it brief here. This fight sucks. I guess I think Staropoli takes care of him. I just don't think Pickett is UFC level, and Staropoli has at least had competitive minutes with real fighters. But yeah, I'm not really interested in Staropoli, and I'm not really interested in Pickett. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think in theory it's a good fight for Staropoli. Once again, to your point, I don't think Pickett is UFC caliber. I think even despite the defensive issues of both, I think Staropoli's durability is a bit more proven. Even when he, got dropped by Tim Means, he popped up pretty quickly, defended hooks there. He's just an interesting guy because if you look at his UFC run, he's had a couple bad stylistic matchups. It's just that he's gotten like stuck on the cage and stuff at points and just hasn't really shown any overt ability to like work off. Now, is that really the style that Jamie Pickett brings? Not really in the aggregate. So, which is why I think it's a good fight for Staropoli, just because I think he's better mechanically, despite him not being an overt power threat. I think he very well could knock out Jamie Pickett in this fight. But like minus 240 on him, not really interested. I think him around like 66% is probably about accurate. It's a pass. It's a pass for me all around. I don't like totals. I don't like props. Pass for me all around.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of echoed Luke's sentiments here. I think that, if Pickett's striking defense was a little bit better, or, if his output was a little bit higher in the spot, I would be, more inclined to bet him, or if his wrestling was even that better, to be completely honest with you. I'm just not really sold with Staropoli. Again, similar to the fight we'll talk later with Nick and Ike, I think Staropoli should be like a decent sized favorite, but minus 240s, I think, just getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on, Luke, coming to you here. We got the baby shark, Tabitha Ricci, your girl, taking on Maria Oliveira. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I was kind of bummed. I was going to order my hashtag Team Ricci hat and do a little Lee Corso segment for like college game day and throw the hat on. It didn't come in time, unfortunately. We'll save that for the next Ricci fight when she incapacitates some poor girl, unfortunately. But no, I think it's a pretty solid spot for her. Other chick she's fighting, Oliveira, comes out of PRVT. Andrade's team, some meritocratic points there. 12-4 more experienced in terms of MMA, longer girl, but she has looked absolutely like dog shit on bottom. She's reasonably easy to take down. Really no process on the ground. Obviously fighting Ricci, black belt judo, black belt jiu-jitsu. Her wrestling isn't like, Jordan Burroughs caliber necessarily, but nonetheless at this level, we were kind of talking about it before the fight. Before the podcast that, it's kind of a levels fight. It's a generally lower level fight, and grappling tends to be pretty binary, and it is here. I don't see why Ricci can't land takedowns. I don't see why Ricci can't pass. I don't see why Ricci can't get in a dominant position. I don't see why she can't positionally TKO, or I don't see why she can't sub her. So, I mean, yeah, if you told me this was like a range kickboxing match for 15 minutes, is Tabitha Ricci, minus 230 in that scenario? Probably not, even though I still favor her in a striking exchange. But nonetheless, she's pretty consistent to maximize her win condition. I think it's a good hypothetical buy down spot on her for even at chalk comparison to where she was at in her debut against Fioro. Horrible stylistic matchup, short notice of weight class. So she should roll this girl. I like her money line. I like her inside the distance.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say the only counterpoints I would have to that would just be that laying the minus 230 for me at this point. Not that she has to be a great wrestler to get Oliveira down, but I just don't love the wrestling for her. So that's the thing. I do think that she can get Oliveira down with these and probably finish her, like you said, with these. I just don't love the wrestling game for her. But at this point, if I was going to play Ricci, I would like the inside the distance at plus 200 or sub, which is plus 390, because you touched on before. If she's able to get this fight down at a high clip, she should be able to finish this girl again at a high clip.
See, any thoughts here, Ricci Oliveira?
Yeah, I don't mind that inside the distance play. I guess I'm a little sketched out lately with size differentials and women's MMA. I don't know. It's just been a bad couple weeks. So, but yeah, I don't know. Ricci has a pretty distinctive advantage on the ground. Inside distance, not bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of funny. I'm not going to rehash everything here. Oliveira is fucking complete garbage, and Ricci is a much better grappler. I agree with Luke. And to Lex's point, I think at some point in the near future, there will be a time to fade Tabitha Ricci. I do not think it is this Saturday. I don't really think you need to be much better than a C- or a C wrestler to get Oliveira down, and I kind of think one takedown is probably around, maybe the fight. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much with these guys. I think Ricci's going to roll. What I will say is a little funny story. Earlier in the week, Luke sent a message in our group chat and goes, John, you're definitely going to bet Oliveira. I can guarantee it. And so I'm taping her a little while ago, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, fuck, how square does Luke think I am? It's like, this is insulting. this is insulting. You thought I was going to bet this girl. She's awful, man. I don't – and, just a funny note, she knocked out her last opponent who was 0-0 in the first round, and she acted like she just won the Super Bowl and was celebrating like a silverback, in the middle of the octagon. It was something. Ricci's gonna fuck her up though. I think ITD is pretty good, and I think the money line honestly probably has some value if I'm being completely honest. And you guys know me, I'm not a big juice guy, but I do think she's gonna handle this girl. Moving on, we got Mason Jones taking on David Onama. I just taped this a little while ago. The line's fine. I think Jones should be able to do whatever he wants in the grappling to him. I just haven't liked what I've seen when Onama's had to grapple. Onama seems like a decent athlete who hits hard, though. I guess he's live to KO Jones, except Jones is famously durable. It seems like the guy can walk through anything. And I just think his output's better on the feet. And I do think, once this hits the mat, he's going to do whatever he wants to him there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have any interest in playing Mason Jones here, maybe playing by decision or something. But, yeah, I think the line is minus 500 is right about where it should be. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't got to a homeboy yet, so pass for me.
Lags, how about you?
Make that 2. Pass again.
See, anything. Mason Jones, David Onama.
Didn't look at it.
All right, perfect. Moving right along. We get to the Iron Turtle, Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, one of the best nicknames in the sport. Lags, what do you think?
You're saying RoboCop, one of the best nicknames. Iron Turtle is up there with one of the best nicknames.
It is a good one.
To be honest with you, I think this is one of the, close, the best, I would say one of the best and more competitive fights that we're going to have on this card. Like, I would say that, like, both of these guys, again, similar, not, direct comparison to Marcos and Souza, but I think both of these guys have decent favorite upside because I think that, Park is a decent boxer, has the better cardio here. Later down the stretch, if he's able to survive this 15 minutes, which we've seen his durability be, completely fine, even though he's, eating some shots, I think Park's going to be the minute winner if this goes 15. But on the other side, like, Rod, big guy, size advantage, strength advantage. I think he's got the power advantage on the feet. If he's able to get on top of Park, I would be pretty worried there again. But his cardio just doesn't seem great. He doesn't seem like he pushes a huge pace. So I really do think that if this goes 15, I think Park. I think I'd rather much be holding a Park ticket than a Rod ticket.
You'd much rather.
I'd much rather. Yes. Sorry.
See, how about you? Anything here, Park Rodriguez?
Pass. I guess I'm just kind of interested to see where Rodriguez is at. Kind of got burned last time, so
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, originally I thought Rodriguez was pretty meh, and he blows Dusko out. I don't really fucking know. Thought the guy was a fraud. Guess not.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Brick Squad posted this in the chat, but like, I bet Williams against Rod, and obviously I felt great about it after. But seeing what we've seen in the time since, I feel a lot less good about that bet I made on Jordan Williams, to be completely honest. I'm kind of with C. Like, I'm impressed with Rod against Dusko, who I bet against him. But in terms of this fight, like, Lags, I think you touched on a lot of it. Like, I do think standing, I kind of think Park's a bit more technical, but I also think there's just a much more explosive element to Rodriguez Park doesn't have, and he hits a lot harder. So it's kind of one of those fights. Can Park do enough at distance to basically out volume the power coming back on him? And I'm not really sure. And in terms of the grappling, look, Rodriguez is allegedly a decorated, grappler, and I don't think Park has the best bottom game ever. But I also don't really trust Rodriguez to come out and shoot 7 to 10 takedowns here. I don't really think he has the gas for it, so I'm not sure he'll do that. And I don't really think Park is very likely to wrestle Rodriguez. So I think what you're probably going to get is some kind of a tepid kickboxing fight here. I guess I lean Rodriguez slightly, but I don't really feel very confident in that. Luke, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I've always actually been like a Park truther, to be honest. And I've actually been historically low on Rodriguez. I bet Dusko in the last fight, and Rodriguez looked great. Like he exceeded my expectation by like 10,000 in that fight. So I guess I'm kind of with C, where I'm still in the mindset where I guess I don't really know 100% how I feel about him as a fighter. But perceivably, he is the better grappler. And if he does get on top of Park, I do have some concerns. I like Park's volume. I like his outside game. I like his movement. But Rodriguez, to your point, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, John, that, he does have physical advantages in this fight pretty significantly. On paper, he is the better grappler. So if he does shoot takedowns here, I think that's interesting too. Like, I don't know, man. I just think there's a wide range of outcomes that happen in this fight, and it's probably one out of all 14 fights on this card that I have the worst read on, to be completely honest. So it's a pass for me. I'm actually going to kind of flip my opinion and say that Rodriguez gets the job done, but man, it's going to really piss me off if I flip my opinion in the Iron Turtle. It just kind of outpoints him in over the course of 15 minutes, but we'll see.
Yeah, Luke, going to stay with you here. Nick Negamuranu, Ike Villanueva. Any thoughts?
Very similar to the worthy fight. This is one I don't want my money anywhere near from a money line perspective. somebody should die here, for lack of a better term. The finish potential of both is pretty high. I know Neg's never been finished before, but he's been dinged and clipped in a couple of his last fights. His striking defense isn't very good. Villanueva is going to throw heat. It's one of those matchups where you got two guys who, in my opinion, are not UFC caliber fighters. I think that inherently just brings more finish-based variance. As a result, I still think, and I've said it since day one, since Villanueva came into the UFC, he's a middleweight. He is not a 205. He's an out of shape 205. that is what Ike Villanueva is. But comparably, Neg, he came off that massive layoff and he arguably lost his last fight. A lot of people thought he did, and I don't necessarily disagree. Got washed by Safarov, and then he's beat a bunch of cans on the regional scene. Do I think he should be favored in this fight? 100%, because I do think he has an advantage on the ground here, but the striking defense, general power components, hitability of both just gives a lot of high variance in this fight to me. I'd rather back violence than a side.
Lags, how about you?
Yeah, I'll just keep this short and sweet. I just kind of think that, like I touched on earlier with the Star Foley matchup, minus 200 for Nick here, after he was a plus 200 dog to Alexa Camera, I think that, the market's overcorrecting, quite a bit. Ike hits hard, at least early in this fight. So I think, like Luke touched on, if you're targeting anything, I like under 1.5.
See, how about you? Oh, he's gone. Okay. I was looking at topology. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here. I've thought about betting Ike, but like you touched on it. These are two guys who, in my opinion, are not UFC level whatsoever here. In Neg's case, I thought he lost the last fight to Camera pretty clearly, to be honest. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I was also at FanDuel Sportsbook with Andrew and made knockout bets, and we were completely wasted in tilt bet Camera because we were 0-4 each on the night. So take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, I mean, I think Neg is pretty bad. His regional schedule is maybe one of the worst I've ever seen, to be honest. Obviously, he looked bad against Safarov. I thought he lost to Camera, and to be honest, getting volumed up a distance by Camera is such a bad look, But, on the other side, Villanueva is terrible, and he's gassy. And so it's like Ike's probably going to bring 6 to 7 minutes of fury here and then die if he doesn't. And so I kind of agree. Violence is a good spot. I think, if you really want to make a bet here, I think the best play to play it is to kind of play Villanueva round one and then maybe see what the cardio is like and pivot into an egg. I don't really love Villanueva having a plus 275 KO line because I do think the amount of times he is live is quite low. It's probably 6 to 7 minutes. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have strong feelings here. Villanueva sucks, but Neg sucks also. So it's bet violence or bet Villanueva. Definitely don't bet Nick. What do you think, Lassie?
Yeah, probably just don't bet.
There's the third option.
Probably the smarter option, coming from the most reckless.
Yeah, doesn't go to decision. I'm fine with. I'd have 1.5. I'm kind of steering away from the 7.5 minutes. It's not heavyweight or some contender stuff. Fuck 7.5 unders.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on, we got Dwight Grant taking on Francisco Trinaldo. Lags, what are your thoughts here?
Well, another Massaranduba fight, and another Massaranduba bet on him. So I don't think it should be a huge bet for any say, but I just could think that anything under minus 130 should be an auto bet on Trinaldo here. I think that he's a much more skilled fighter here. I think on the feet, obviously, Grant hits hard, but he's not any kind of high output guy. He's not going to push any kind of pace. That's the kind of fight that Trinaldo's perfectly fine in. That's the kind of fight that he's going to thrive in, and he's got grappling upside, not to mention. So for me, I bet Trinaldo in his last fight against Salikov plus 200, thinking, it's a low volume power dynamic counter striker coming back his way. And obviously, it was a close-ish fight. Salikov outvolumed him a little bit, but I don't really think that Grant here provides any kind of different dynamic striking. He's a low output counter striker. He's got power, but if he doesn't knock out Trinaldo, and I don't think his chin really is, wasted at any point, I think this is a solid spot for Trinaldo.
What about you, C?
Yeah, I played Trinaldo. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's just better at MMA. But yeah, I mean, Grant, like, yeah, he's got quick hands, he's got power, um, but he sucks. It's just really not that good. I just think Trinaldo is just better pretty much everywhere. Better defensively, better counter striker, pretty much everything. And like minus 110 in this spot, like pretty much think you have to side with Trinaldo. But yeah, I mean the age is definitely a concern if you're just fading age. Trinaldo like fits that scalp. But yeah, Trinaldo's the play for me.
Oh, I'm so torn here, to be honest. Like it is so
Come on,
hard for me
John.
to imagine a scenario where Dwight Grant wins a 15-minute decision against Francisco Trinaldo. Like Grant is so fucking bad. Like he really is. Like I appreciate the fact that he's fighting in the UFC, but my God, the guy does really like nothing well. What he does, the only thing he does well is he's fast and he hits really hard. But and so it's like I have some worries because Trinaldo has been getting hurt more lately, and he is 43. Like I have a lot of worries about that, and I have some worries about his gas tank. But honestly, though, Trinaldo, even in the Salikov fight, like he was winning the fight pretty cleanly until he got dropped, and then he just seemed to never really recover from it. And so I don't know. On the one hand, I just think Trinaldo is so much more skilled at everything. It's like I'm getting 55% on the guy who is just superior in every facet of MMA. Like that seems crazy. But on the other, Grant hits hard and Trinaldo gets hurt. And also, I can't get out of my head Grant weaseling a decision against Alan Jouban. It's just like Jouban's a super high volume striker and Grant's power managed to suppress it, which is concerning to me. But I'm probably gonna bet Trinaldo, to be honest. I'm leaning in that direction. Luke, what are your thoughts here?
All right. So on the island here, I have 5 units on Dwight Grant. No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus. Get help.
No bet for me, but I will make the case for a Grant, and I'm actually going to pick him here, as much as it pains me to say, because I think a lot of what you guys said is correct. I've been a Trinaldo truther. I don't think Dwight Grant is anything special. I do think Trinaldo is the better fighter here, but he is 43 years old. For a guy who's been known for his durability over the course of his career, has gotten dropped in his last 2 fights. He's not overtly high volume. You can say the same thing about Dwight Grant. So, like, would you be shocked with like a low volume, tepid kickboxing match where bigger moments come from one guy, or Trinaldo's done at 43. He just gets blasted and he's absolutely killed. So listen, I'm not hating on Trinaldo plays at all, because I think you can definitely make a case for it. It's coming from a dude who's like a stylistic, stats-based guy. Everything kind of supports Trinaldo, but it's one of these weird scenarios where I think it's like you could be too deep in the forest that you can't see the trees. I think he's fucking done, to be honest. I think Dwight Grant knocks him out, and we see Trinaldo retire.
All right. I like
bold take.
That is a bold take. I like it. Moving on. See, I'll start with you here. I know you have strong feelings. We got Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy taking on So-Won Choi. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Choi love has gotten a little bit like out of hand. Like, I mean, I've bet him in his last like 2 fights, and like he's fine. I mean, Arosa, like, okay, Chinny Arosa, yeah, Choi does hit hard. This Zalal fight, really not that great, like kind of in hindsight. And yeah, Choi's got quick hands. He's powerful. But like he really hasn't had extended like stand-up minutes in the UFC versus somebody who's I guess decent. I mean, who the fuck was the little guy who was just getting his ass kicked?
Mokhtarian?
Yeah, Suman. I mean, that guy fucking sucks ass. What the fuck? So like, yeah, I think the Choi like power is just getting a little bit like out of control. I mean, whatever. And then you got Bruce fucking Leroy over here, and it's like he's got the volume. He doesn't get hit in the face. I know he keeps his hands low, but like he throws good output. he's had competitive minutes with like better UFC strikers like Yair. And like I just don't understand how like Choi, who's like probably like so thin on like winning. Yeah, sure, maybe it's like optics with power, but it's gonna be so thin. Like the margin for Choi winning a decision is pretty slim. And I also don't think that, the knockouts that live. So yeah, I got 2.5 minutes at plus 255.
Yeah, that's a great line. I like Caceres too. I think you have to be on him here. It's almost like a must bet. I like Choi. He's decent. Obviously his first two fights with the UFC were with very, very stiff competition with Evloev and Gavin Tucker. And look, I think every one of us bet him against Yusuf Zalal. I just, with Choi, it's like he hits very hard. I do think the KO upside is more on his side than anything else. I do think he's fast, but he has, Zalal made him miss a lot early in their fight. Tucker made him miss a lot at range playing the outside game. We know Caceres is going to play that. I do think Caceres' volume is more reliable than Choi's is here. My big concern, kind of like Steve said, is the optics here, because I do think, there's a chance that it just looks hindsight Choi like 75%, even though Caceres outlands him and Choi's just landing much harder strikes. Like I think that's a very, very live outcome here. And Caceres does fight with his hands down, which concerns me. But like when I'm thinking about it, it's like I'm betting a guy who I don't want to say I'm certain, but I feel pretty strongly if it goes 15, Caceres probably lands more strikes at distance than Choi does. And it's like that in and of itself, it's like, how am I going to not play him at plus 230? And then on top of it, look, I don't expect Caceres to grapple, but his grappling is underrated. Like, you remember when people were trying to convince themselves Kevin Kroom was going to out-grapple Alex Caceres? Those were fun times. Same thing happened with Chase Hooper. Like, Caceres has a decent submission game, and if Choi does go to the clinch and initiate grappling, he's put himself in some bad spots that worry me. He did in round 3 against Zalal. He did against Tucker several times. I just worry that that's going to happen and he's going to get himself subbed. Ultimately, I do think Choi probably has more finishing upside. But again, kind of like C touched on, like bombing out a Rosa in a minute doesn't tell me very much. He looked good against Zalal, but, I think everybody in this pod said it ages ago that Zalal was a bit fraudish and, his run in the UFC was overrated. I favor Choi because of the power, but 70%, 75% implied is crazy to me. So I have a small play on Caceres. What are your thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys, but I shouldn't say I slightly disagree because I'm largely right there with you, but I guess I'm more so in the trap by the number kind of spot where I think he still probably loses at like a moderate clip. However, if Caceres gets to like plus 300 or we're looking like plus 290, I got to do it. I have to do it out of principle for a lot of the reasons you guys mentioned. Caceres defends distance strikes at 69%. He's like 4.5 strikes landed per minute at like 50%. Like, yeah, he's fought a bunch of cans. I get it. But we were even talking about it in the group chat, I think 4 or 5 days ago. Like Choi is the type of guy you want to back when, you're plus 200 or whatever. The guy's just crazy undervalued or whatever based on a certain skill set. But traditionally, you look at Caceres and how Caceres is losing. He's getting out-grappled by better grapplers. That's just not historically a game that Choi brings. I know he had some wrestling success on Zalal. I get it, but no subs in terms of his pro career. Like, is he going to sub Caceres? I guess maybe like a club and sub, but like if he took like a wrestling-based process, took him down, passed him, sub Caceres, I'd be pretty shocked about that personally. So, but what I will say in defense of Choi, I think he is one of the bigger guys that Caceres has fought in the entire UFC. We saw Wang Guang have some success on him there. He kind of beat his ass, to be completely honest. He's kind of a similar archetype to a Choi. However, once again, we're talking like a plus 250 here. So I think there is some merit to Caceres, but he's also just a tough guy to back because you don't also really know what guy's going to show up with him too. Once again, big number. I do think he is the side 100%. Honestly, I think a safer route would actually just to be to go with the over. I think that's a moderately decent number. Choi, obviously no real sub upside. primarily KO based. I think his KO line's only like 25% implied. Caceres only been knocked out once in 30 pro fights. Grab that, at even a slight favorite number. I think that's decent to look too if you want to play it safer.
What are your thoughts, Flags?
Yeah, so I have a 1 unit bet on the fight. The distance at -175. Am I still there?
Nice. Yeah, I hear you.
Fuck you.
Is that it? I think we lost Flags.
I think we lost him.
All right. Well, moving on, we have Jessica Rose Clark taking on Jocelyn Edwards. Any thoughts here, Luke?
I like Jessie Jess, and it's interesting because I've never been the biggest fan of her historically. I know C is in the Jessie Jess fan club, and we're about to get like a massive stan take from C. So I don't want to take a stage here at all. But I think it's a good spot for obviously Edwards, probably the bigger girl here, 100%. She comes forward, she throws strikes, but it's just reckless. And I guess the best way I can describe Edwards is there's just no real process to her game at all. She's just kind of like rock 'em, sock 'em. Honestly, the best archetype I could describe her to from a striking standpoint is like a Mauro Barella. Like I really don't, outside of her being big and long, I don't really think there's any technique there. She just comes forward, throws strikes. Obviously, we know at a certain level of WMA, that's a good thing. But against Jessica Rose Clark, I don't think that's going to do it. People will look at the Kianzad fight. People will look at the I fight. But from what we've seen from Kianzad and I think we can all say it's fair to assume that both girls are exponentially better overall and better strikers that I think anybody anticipated they would be. So I don't think there's much overt merit to that. I think she's the better striker. I think she's more technical. I do think she has an advantage on the ground. We've seen Edwards get stuck on bottom multiple times, despite, Jess, not shooting a ton of takedowns historically. She's shown definite physical components, even in Alpar trying to wrestle her. She was able to reverse those positions and do a lot of damage in the clinch, even in some of those general overall wrestling based scenarios, get on top, land some strikes too. So I definitely think she has a path, not to mention even her fights with PVZ and Beck Rawlings. The wrestling was a significant component in her winning those fights too. So her, even as a slight favorite, I think is actually a bit of a steal. I think Jess has turned a corner personally at this point in her career, and I think she's a solid spot.
See, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I played JRC at -115. Yeah, I mean, I have similar thoughts. JRC's hot. She's got nice fucking fake crack. Like, she's doing well. Like, how could you not take her? It's even money, coin flip, take the hotter chick. It's just simple. But yeah, in all seriousness, no, yeah, I just think she's more fundamentally sound. She's definitely has a path on the ground. Jocelyn kind of play guard and just isn't going to work back up. But yeah, I mean, I guess on the flip side, like Jocelyn, young, she could, I guess, out athlete her in a sense. She's definitely the harder, puncher. But yeah, I go Jessie Jess, and hopefully they take care of her health care and everything. Otherwise, she could DM me and I'll make a donation.
Wags, what are your thoughts here?
So I have a quick wrap on this fight, and then we'll touch on the other one too. So JRC, I know you guys probably touched on it a little bit. I like her on the feet. I think should be a slight favorite on the feet, and then she obviously has the huge grappling edge here, which I think she's going to take with ease. As Edwards doesn't look that great off of her back, I think this could be, the -140, -150 could be a given JRC here. And then similar to what Luke was touching on in the last fight with Choi and Caceres, I have a unit on the fight goes the distance -175. Don't really have a ton to add there.
Yeah. I have no bet here. I've been considering playing Jessica Rose Clark. Like, I do think if Clark decides she wants to wrestle here, she probably does whatever she wants to her, gets her on the mat, and just dominates. My question is more, is she going to try to wrestle? Like, that's really, historically, she has not been a super proactive grappler. And while I do think she's the cleaner striker, Edwards throws a ton of volume. She outlanded Hosa at distance. She obviously fucked up Uyanan, who obviously is nowhere near Jessica Rose Clark's level. But it is a concern. Like I would favor Clark on the feet, but I do think, it's something that Edwards can keep minutes competitive there. I might play Clark. I'm thinking about it. I do think it's just like if she attempts 4 to 5 takedowns here, she probably looks minus like 300 hindsight. And to be honest, it's just more of a, is she going to do it? Because I don't think she's ever landed more than 2 takedowns in a fight in her career. So it's something I'm a bit worried about. But yeah,
also real quick, she's also coming off of an ACL injury as well.
She is, but she did look. I mean, not since the Alpar fight, I don't think, right?
Yeah, no, after the Alpar fight.
Since the Alpar fight, really?
Yeah,
6 months. She's healthy. She's been healthy for the last 6 months, though.
But yeah, it was an ACL surgery.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the size scares me a bit, and so does the volume of Edwards. But I mean, if it size does matter. If Clark takes the right path, this should be easy work. Moving on, we got Grant Dawson. He's taking on Ricky Glenn. I'll keep it short. Dawson's gonna fucking smash him here. I've seen some takes that look at the Bermudez fight. If Bermudez was able to, if Glenn was able to hang with him, he'll be able to hang with Dawson. No, Dawson's got a much better top game than Bermudez does. I think Glenn's the jiu-jitsu is good enough to hold on that maybe, he could survive here. But I don't have any strong takes on this other than I think the line is probably justified and maybe even a little short. Dawson may get killed at some point coming into the pocket. Now, that's very likely to happen. I don't think it's here, though. And I think once he gets his hands on Glenn, it's pretty much night-night. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point in terms of the Bermudez fight. I think there is some context there. Like, despite Bermudez being like I'm agreeing with you, by the way, off the top of this point. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. No, but like Bermudez obviously coming from like a strong wrestling background. If you like watch him over the course of his UFC career, his control rate actually is pretty dog shit too. So I think that needs to be noted. Dawson, yeah, he's going to take this dude down. He's going to grind him. But I am actually of the opinion that Rick Glenn's jiu-jitsu and guard recovery is probably good enough and defensive responsibility on the ground to actually survive. I think Dawson by decision, I think around plus 150 is actually a good buy down spot. I think his inside the distance line I think his inside the distance line is also like right around the same amount too. So maybe getting too cute with it. But I honestly do think he hangs on and is good enough to survive with Dawson. So I think it's actually a good way to buy down.
See, any thoughts here from you?
Which fight?
Dawson Glenn.
Yeah, I think Dawson should just roll. I don't have like strong opinions, but yeah.
Lex, how about you?
Yeah, I don't have a strong take, at least from the money line perspective, like you touched on, John. I think the money line is about wide, maybe a bit short, but I just have a small poke on the on Dawson sub at plus 420. I got a half unit on that. I think that, he's going to have the opportunities to finish. It's going to be, he's an excellent top game guy, and he's an excellent finisher.
Yeah. So moving on, we got a fun main event. We have Borrachina, Paulo Costa, the drinker of wine, eater of donuts, taking on angry Marvin Vettori. Luke, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid spot for Vettori. Obviously, Costa. Yeah, I don't think there's much to unpack here. Obviously, the guy's very live early in this fight, but Vettori's proven to be very durable historically. Pretty much anytime we've seen the fights extended for Costa, he's significantly slowed down. You even go back to the early parts of the Hendricks fight. Hendricks, I think, landed on him at like a 50% clip. Hall was jabbing him up. Romero, in my opinion, won the fight. Obviously, Izzy washed him out. So I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion, even in the early rounds, that like Costa just takes 1 and 2. I genuinely don't think that at all, because Marvin actually is one of the few guys who's probably going to also take it to him and probably give it back to him and get in his face too. Whereas Hendricks, Hall, Romero, all these guys also kind of played the outside with them too, where I think kind of the general bold nature of Vettori is going to give him some issues. And obviously the main talking point of this fight is that it's 25 minutes. Vettori's proven to be a very consistent minute winner, has good gas tank, can win a fight over 25 minutes, where Costa's never even won a third round. So when you put all that into the soup in Vettori's minus 140, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me given the context of the fight. Now, if you said this was a 15-minute fight, maybe the conversation might be a little bit different. But now that you're given, 25 extra minutes to work with on a guy who's exponentially more proven over the course of 25 minutes against a guy who's arguably struggling to make weight right now, who may or may not have taken this fight very seriously against a guy who's got a better gas tank, who's more proven durability, whose output is more consistent over a larger proven sample size, who's actually an underrated wrestler grappler. I'm not saying he's going to take down Vettori, sub him, but we've kind of talked about it before, that I think we all think that Vettori is extremely underrated on the ground too. There's just so many more boxes checked for Vettori from a money line perspective to me, why he's honestly an auto bet at this price tag. So I guess y'all will have to let me know what y'all have to say, but I think it's a great spot for him.
See, what do you think here?
Yeah, I played some of Vettori at like an early plus money line. But yeah, I would still play him even at his current line. I kind of said this before, but like extremely durable guy, cardio, who could grapple. It's like first a guy who we have question marks about his grappling, gassy, and literally coming off a fight where he had zero process. I mean, the guy looked fucking brain dead. He didn't react to anything. He just fucking stood there. It was like the dumbest fucking plan I've ever. I mean, I bet on him. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. It was like, Jesus Christ, I bet on this guy. Why? Because he fucking knocked out Uriah Hall after having a competitive first round with him, and now he's going to be fucking like 45% versus Vettori. How does that even make sense? Vettori actually defends head strikes pretty well. And just, I'd play Vettori. I think the Vettori inside the distance line's probably good. I don't know. The under seems like it'd cover most outcomes, but fucking the lad fight didn't go under, so I'm done saying that shit.
Legs, how about you?
Well, just like C said, I'm on the under as well. So let's see if I lose my shit on another main event under. So I got a unit and a half on the under 4.5 rounds or minus 130. Like C said, I think it touches a lot of options. I think Costa, like said, is alive for those first 2 rounds. But anytime he's extended in any kind of fight, you see his cardio slow down a little bit. He'll still throw with output, but I think Marvin, once he slows down, obviously Marvin will be able to take over and could be able to drown him late and find a late sub. So I think that Costa early KO props, don't hate it. Marvin late sub props, I like it too, but I like the under overall. It just covers both outcomes.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to add. I might play Vettori, especially now where it's like, I'm not a narrative guy, but you have Costa sitting up there talking about being 211 pounds today. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it is like we just went from, what C said, maybe the dumbest, like, whatever. Obviously, Costa was a bad bet. I bet him as well against Izzy, like, no doubt. But, like, he didn't even give himself a chance to win that fight. Like, one of the dumbest game plans in the history of the sport. Follows it up by saying it was because he was drinking the night before. And now he's 211 pounds on the Wednesday of fucking fight week and talking about he doesn't even know where he wants to have the catch weight. He's just saying, we'll have a catch weight somewhere. Like what the hell is going on? Like, it's very, very bizarre. In terms of the fight, Luke, I think you guys all nailed it, really. The bottom line is, in theory, Costa can give him issues early, potentially knock him out. But, like, I don't know. My initial thought on this fight was I need to stay the fuck away because Costa's probably being undervalued and is probably very live for a KO early. But, like, going back and watching him, like, he doesn't, outside of Hendricks, and even Hendricks had a competitive first round with him. Like, outside of Hendricks, he doesn't really flatline people, like, ever, to be completely honest. I'm not saying he doesn't have power. He obviously does. But I don't think we're talking about like the Francis Ngannou of middleweight here. And so he's going to have his opportunities early. I do think he could potentially box up Vettori for the first round or two. But, eventually the takedowns are going to start coming for Vettori. The pace is going to start to wear on him. We've seen Costa slow in every single fight he's been in the UFC that's gone out of like 7-8 minutes. And on top of which, I think there's some real questions about what Costa's bottom game is like. He got taken down a couple times by Romero, and every time I've seen him, he usually just gives his back to get up. And Vettori's jiu-jitsu is more than good enough to take his back, control him there, and possibly finish him on the mat. And so, yeah, Vettori at minus 150, it's just like, what chance do you give it? Because, I'm not saying Costa can't win a decision. Obviously, a lot of weird shit happens. I mean, Johnny Walker and Taco Santos went to a fucking decision, for Christ's sakes. But, obviously he can win a decision in theory. But, what's the scenario? Is Costa going to be patient Costa again? Because if that happens, Vettori's just going to pick him the fuck apart, right? And if not, and he comes hard, he's going to gas, and Vettori is going to grind the fuck out of him. And so it's what percentage chance do you give to Costa finishing Vettori early in this fight? Is it more than 20 to 30? I don't really think so. And so it's I don't know. Before I taped the fight, I was thinking of staying out. I was just maybe Costa or pass, but it's really hard to see kind of, a viable path for him outside of the first 10 minutes of the fight. So, yeah, I mean, I think Vettori's the side, to be honest. But, yeah, with that said, thanks for coming out tonight, guys. Next week, we got some show for you. We got UFC 267. It's a pay-per-view. There are hot takes. Mac won a Murakami, money line, submission sub one, whatever it's going to be. Just hit it. That's going to cash for you. As usual, you got me, John, at MMA Fox, Luke at SWR_betting, C at CHanson10, and Lags at Danny_Lags. Guys, drop a like and subscribe. Good luck on your bets this weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Yo, hold on, Luke.
Remember, I'm actually going to be in FLA with Lags on Wednesday night next week for the PFL Championship, so I don't know what we're going to do for a pod.
We may have to reschedule the pod.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Because I'm going to be in Las Vegas for work next week as well. So I don't know how Wednesday night is going to fare either.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be in good shape either.
We'll figure it out.
We will find a date. I promise you guys. We missed a week on a useless fight night. We will not miss a pay-per-view, even if we have to do the fucking thing on Saturday morning. So yeah, guys, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.